Man, it can't be contrived.
You can't force that stuff. Welcome to Reformgelical, where the Reformed and Evangelicals meet faithfully, consistently, and reliably. We never miss a week.
Well, we haven't yet.
I don't think we have.
I don't want to say never, but we haven't yet.
You know, I just realized we are the most prepared podcast for social distancing. That's how we roll.
Yeah. We've been social distancing for years, man.
Yeah, that's how responsible we are. Hello, Cal. Welcome. Thanks for joining so late. I'm sorry I posted it 5 minutes before we went live. I was doing the dishes and it occurred to me that I didn't post this on Patreon. So I apologize for all the patrons that support us. Appreciate you guys. And I'm sorry to show you the disrespect of not posting earlier.
Hey, that's okay.
Thank you. I felt sad. If you are listening to this wherever you listen to podcasts or on YouTube, you can join us as well. Reformgelical at 30 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday nights, every Thursday night. We'd love to have you be part of the show. And we just have a really great time with all of the people that watch live. And thank you for all of you who support us, follow us, subscribe on all of the social media sites. We really appreciate it. Hey, our YouTube's kind of growing too. It's nice. It's nice.
Hey, that's good. I like that.
Your YouTube's growing too. You just had 500 million listens or something like that?
500,000. And
that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm at 512,000 now. And I just posted my 500th video today.
Wow. Congratulations. Seriously, that's amazing.
That's 1,000 views a video. That's pretty good.
That is really good, considering my cool 25 views of video.
I'm working on it, man.
No, man. Yeah, you're good at it. I don't think people really realize how much work, consistency, and perseverance it takes to get to 500 episodes.
That's a lot, man.
It is a lot.
You got to be a little going to 100. You got to be a little crazy to do it. So
you got to be crazy. It's a lot of sacrifice. It's hard. But anyways, congratulations on that. So what has been in the news lately besides coronavirus? I don't know. Have you seen anything in the news besides?
Well, there was something that I saw, and I didn't watch it. I refused to watch it. I don't watch this kind of stuff. But there was some celebrity woman who posted some singing video of a John Lennon song. Oh,
it was terrible.
Did you watch it?
Oh, I did. It was horrible.
I heard that it was horrible. What was she thinking?
I don't know. It's a depressing song on its own, but
it's already a depressing song. But from what I understand, she was trying to rally the troops. It was supposed to be but why? She can't be that stupid to think that that's actually a encouraging song.
Yeah, I don't know. It was really depressing on two fronts. One, because of what they were trying to accomplish with it. But then two, is I realized how old I am that I didn't know most of the people on that video.
Well, I didn't watch it, but I heard that there are some people that I would have recognized, like Will Ferrell. And
yeah, there was a few, but then there's a lot that just is oh man, I'm past my prime.
Well, I'm glad it didn't go over well, because that's a very stupid choice of song.
Very stupid.
I remember after 9/11, wasn't there a bunch of celebrities that did "What's Going On? What's Going On"? That song is way better. Wasn't that who did that song? What's Going On? I don't know, but it was a good song. Mm-hmm. But imagine, come on.
I know, it's terrible. Cal says in the show notes or comment section, 89,000 likes. When I saw it in the morning, it had over 3 million views.
That's celebrity power, but
it is.
But still, that's just way too many for garbage.
I know. You see stuff like that as content producers ourselves. I just look at it and be I know I've put out something better than that. How have I not got at least 1,000 views on this? In your case, 20,000. You have a much higher scale than me.
I don't know.
Yeah, I was feeling old too. I was talking with somebody the other day, and this was it was sad and kind of cool at the same time. I was talking with somebody who had that naive passion that I remember having, and I thought I still had, but then I realized how jaded I was. I was oh man, this youngster doesn't even know what's gonna hit him in the real world. I'm oh my gosh, I used to be that person.
Now, hey man, I wish I could be that person again.
I know, I do too. I didn't realize I was the man crushing dreams.
Crushing dreams, man. That brings me back. I used to be well, I'm still a recruiter, but I used to work for like a staffing agency in like the Wall Street area. And we would always, when we had a deal that didn't go well, we would always tell the people, all right, it's time to crush some dreams. We're going to the candidates that were going to get their jobs and stuff, like those are the ones that wanted the deal to work so bad. And we'd be like, oh, I got to call him and crush his dreams. It was horrible.
That's horrible. Were you an executive recruiter then?
No, I mostly did like contract recruiting and stuff like that. So like a high class temp agency for like, information technology, information security folks, stuff like that.
I just imagine like the high level executives, they go through probably so much vetting and then just not to get the job after months and months. I'm like, oh, that'd be crushing.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I know people who do that, obviously. And it's the worst. You put a lot of time and effort into that stuff.
Definitely. So there are things that I want to talk about today besides coronavirus, but I do want to get on my... What?
Nothing. Just kidding.
Oh, okay. I want to put my General Patton hat on and talk about what are we going to do with China? Because I feel like we haven't been really considering and thinking through what needs to be the repercussions and the consequences for what they've done. And I know there's
what have they done? I heard that. Listen, I heard on Twitter today that they helped us by slowing the spread and giving us the DNA sequences and stuff and helping us out. That's what I heard.
Yeah, I also heard that our army actually gave it to them too.
Yeah, well, that's very legitimate. That news report. That's what I heard. So what did they do?
Well, they either competently or incompetently destroyed the world's economy, if you haven't heard. I know you've been busy moving, but the world's kind of come to a standstill because of the China flu. I mean, the coronavirus, COVID-19. I don't know what they want us to call it today. It's
racist to call it the Chinese flu.
It is racist. Real. I know. I honestly, after all my rants of going after China, I'm surprised I haven't been called the racist or been used the racist card against me today.
Yeah, honestly, that is kind of surprising. But do you remember a couple weeks back when we were just laughing about the ERLC's article about, there's just so much stigma now for Asian Americans and stuff like that. We were joking on that 3 weeks ago. And now this is like mainstream. Like, what's going on? What's happening?
Maybe the ERLC is more influential than we thought.
Maybe.
Oh my gosh.
Or they have the same master.
You said it, not me. I finally get to use it on you.
That's right.
Did you see the tweet I retweeted and tagged you on where ERLC, it wasn't their published piece, but they were retweeting someone else's. And you just knew the list of things to remember during coronavirus was going to have a racism point to it.
Yeah, I saw that.
You did? Oh my gosh. It's like, it wasn't even a question in my mind that was going to be in there. And it was,
but let's just talk about this for a second. Like real talk, right? Because, I think a lot of us, especially in our audience, are going to be at the point where they don't know what to believe because we've got so much fake news for years. And like at this point, we're getting all this stuff. And there's conflicting information. Like nobody really knows what to believe. But let's just say one thing definitively. And I have no qualm saying this definitively. If your favorite blogger or your favorite news source or your favorite blog in general is saying literally anything about racism because of the fact that this virus came from China, if they're saying anything, they're discredited. Forever until they say I'm sorry for that. I'm all about people apologizing, but the thing is, like, that is so stupid that I can't even fathom how morally culpable you are for thinking at that ridiculous level at this point. And I'm not saying that this is like the worst thing since sliced bread that we're experiencing now. Even if it isn't, it doesn't matter. If you're like, the first thing that comes to your mind is, oh my goodness, Trump is such a racist because he said Chinese flu. Like, you're a moron and you should be forever discredited. We can all agree on that, right? Reasonable people can agree on that.
Yeah. Or even if your favorite news outlet is starting to say the exact same things as the China propaganda media, you also automatically lost your credibility.
I'm okay with you saying the same things as China propaganda media, as long as it's not as stupid as saying that calling this the Chinese flu is a racist statement, and Trump hates all Chinese people. Because not a single person, I'm sorry, not a single person, when they hear Trump say that, says, oh yeah, Chinese people, man, they're the worst. They're the worst. We gotta get rid of them. We gotta get rid of them.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying that.
Nobody's saying that. It's not sad, I guess. I mean, they brought it on themselves. But one of the results of this the critical race theory and this racism card is it's created such lazy thinkers that I don't even think they know how to articulate arguments anymore, because they just have the talking points they spew out every single time.
That's right. Because here's the thing, like the reality of the situation is, if you, let's just say this, let's just say you had, a local Chinese restaurant, that's all the virtue signals right now. Like, oh, I'm getting some pork fried rice. That's how I know I'm not a racist. Like,
I like the really authentic Chinese food, Panda Express.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like 2 months ago, like it was racist to call pork fried rice Chinese food because that's just fake Chinese food. But now it's like, oh, that's how you show your solidarity. If you got the MSG food, that's how you do it. But here's the reality. The reality is, if you had a Chinese restaurant you went to and you knew that their family was from Wuhan and they had traveled to Wuhan recently for Christmas or something, whatever, and then they came back recently and then you stopped going to that Chinese restaurant, people would call you racist. But that's actually a very smart thing to do, knowing what we know.
Right.
Because it's not that you're saying, I don't like Chinese people, like a moron would think. No, what you're saying is, well, the risk factor, you just came from Wuhan this month, and I've heard that the incubation period's a couple weeks, whatever. Like, maybe I'll take a break from General Tso's for a few weeks. That's reasonable and rational. It's not racist. It's racist if you say, I hate Chinese people because of the Wuhan virus. That's racist.
Yeah, that's racist. Or they did it to us because they're like a lesser kind of person or something.
They're so primitive that the virus picked them first.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's different. But if, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of on a soapbox here, but we have to be adult enough to know the difference between proper prejudices. And I'm saying, like, there could be a proper prejudice. Like if you have a neighbor that traveled to China, maybe a good idea to I'll talk to you on YouTube. You know what I mean? I'll talk to you on Skype. Yeah. You know what I mean?
FaceTime's a great technology.
Whether they're Chinese or white or whatever they are.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, but morons think like this. You must be a racist.
Yeah. And there's a lot of them out there. But you know where I haven't been hearing this argument for, which I expected, is closing the borders. All of a sudden, it seems like a legitimate thing to be able to cut off immigration and close borders. Even
Canada's doing it.
Even Canada. And
I thought they were like the most progressive country ever.
Right?
Didn't they close their border already?
They did. Yeah, it was a mutual decision between the United States and Canada. But it's like in the beginning, when Trump did it with China in the beginning, then that was racist and he was overreacting, right? But now, and when everyone's freaked out, everyone realizes that there are actual legitimate reasons to have immigration controls. It's amazing.
Honestly, like in some ways, Trump is in a very bad situation. In some ways, he's in a very good situation because he knows without a shadow of a doubt that he's never going to get a fair shake no matter what. So he's kind of free to just do whatever he feels is right, which is dangerous in some ways, but also it's a good thing. It's a good thing to not give any cares at all about what people think of you. Because you're exactly right. He closed the travel from China, and he's a xenophobe, he's a racist, just like we always knew. And then he didn't move fast enough, and they're like, oh, well, he's a science denier. You know what I mean? Like, it's just no matter what, he won't get a fair shake. Obviously,
I've been watching his press conferences, and man, just like what Cal is saying, he owns the media so well. It's so great.
He's done a great job. Honestly, his media conferences have done a great job because think about it, like how much more perfect could it have been? He closed the travel with China. That was a good move. Then he slow rolled it until he knew it was a serious deal. And then he acted with decisive and swift action. Now, I might question some of the actions, which I definitely would. I mean, I'm not with him on everything. But the quick and decisive, and then followed by a slow roll, and then followed by more decisive action. What more could you ask for?
Right.
What more could you ask for? He didn't overreact, didn't underreact, and he reacted in timing that makes sense to me.
Yeah, and the solutions that he's been managing and orchestrating, if he came up with it or not, his government's doing it, bringing in army hospital ships,
right,
getting Target, Walmart, all of these companies to come in and work together.
That was genius to bring in the companies, because that's what people are worried about, where they're going to get their groceries, where they're going to get their stuff. It's a good move.
Yeah, and to bring in competitors and get them to rally together, it also makes it seem like he's not the one causing the partisanship that's happening in Washington either. I think that was a great contrast for him.
Well, also knowing for a fact that many of these CEOs and stuff, they have to like put appearances that they're against Trump, right? Especially Target, for example. So like you bring in Target, and they're the LGBT lovers and the progressive central, but they're coming in to help out, and Trump orchestrated it. Makes them look great. But the reality is like, what? I mean, well, like I said, there's nothing he could do that would ever get anyone's approval from the media.
Yeah, definitely not. Because I mean, they're basically the Chinese propaganda arm right now. They're mimicking the same stuff. But I was just watching those press conferences, and I was just thinking, I am so glad that he is the president right now. I don't agree with everything. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be mistakes. This has never been done before. Totally. But thinking of like Hillary Clinton being president, or Joe Biden being president right now, or Bernie Sanders. There's
nothing in me that would be like, I'd be confident in the future. But there's a little bit of confidence I have, even though, again, I think he's making mistakes. I think what he should do, what he should have done on last Wednesday, was say, for small businesses especially, because that's like, there's so many small business owners, so many people that are employed by small businesses. You know what? Let's not worry about the taxes for this quarter. Let's just not worry about that. We'll move past this and cancel taxes for a quarter. That would have been way better than this $1,000 check or whatever, $2,000, whatever it is. Way better. It would have the markets would have improved, I think. But so I could quibble with him. But the thing is, he's in a no-win situation, and so he's trying to hold it all together. Biden, he's serious? Hillary Clinton.
Oh my gosh, they had a debate sometime in the last couple of weeks. I don't even remember when it is. It seems so insignificant right now. Like no one's ever talked about it. I never even saw the next day anyone commenting on what was going on in the debate.
I searched who won on Tuesday, and it took me a couple of pages to figure out who actually won. Yeah, it was buried. Eric Yeager, he's trying to cause problems here.
Of course he is.
He says, if Sanders was president, we would get 2K instead of 1K. and he's right. But what I have to say to Eric is right. But what I have to say to Sanders is, why not 5K, man? Like, why not 10K? Give me something I can use with 2K. I always wonder that. Like, if $15 an hour is like a good minimum wage, make it 20. I want more money.
If I had a soundboard, I would cut in the something about Mary 5-minute ab clip. Do you remember that? Where it was like, I think it was something about Mary, where it's like, oh, dude, I have this revolutionary idea: 7-minute abs. You could get great abs in 7 minutes. It would be the greatest. And then he's like, well, why doesn't someone just come out with 6-minute abs?
Right.
And then his mind was blown. It's the same thing. It's like 5,000, 6,000.
Seriously, I see your socialism. I'll raise you some communism. That's what Eric Yeager says. Yeah, good. I'm thinking, listen, why don't we just say, look, for the next year, 2020, minimum wage, what's $100,000 a year? We need to do this economy some good. Let's make $100,000. Everyone needs $100K.
Yeah. It's insane. And you think about the other like Joe Biden's solutions that he put out, like drive-through clinics for testing or something like that. They're so laughable and small compared to what's been going on with the Trump presidency. They just look like a joke, man. They look like a joke. I know they've been hoping, the media has been trying to like make it Trump's fault and he's the problem. But he looks so good coming out from this, I think.
He really does. But I think everyone needs to see the big picture here. Like a lot of this stuff, Trump's speech on Wednesday, I thought was really good. He's talking about getting these regulations out of the way so that hospitals don't need to consider these stupid regs before they, expand their capacity and stuff. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, if this stuff is good for hospitals to have the ability to do in an emergency situation, why not always? Because you don't know when an emergency situation is going to happen. That's the whole point of an emergency. And it's the same thing with the taxes, the payroll tax that he floated. Oh yeah, let's just eliminate the payroll tax for 2020. Good idea. I'm not criticizing him for it, but but the point is, like, if it's good for the economy to have lower taxes, which it definitely is, why not just always do it? There was a time when American wages were high, the highest in the world, among the highest in the world. I'll say the among. And we still were a major manufacturer. We still were a major exporter. And it's like, well, how did that happen? What happened? Well, it's not a mystery. It's because we didn't have these stupid regulations. You know what I mean? I know. And now we have them. And it's like the case for them is just, you can only make the case for them when you're already living high in the hog. And it's just so stupid. It just really, it drives me crazy when people think, well, we got to do these emergency stimulus measures. Well, why not just do them all the time?
Well, the good ones.
The good ones. Yeah. Right.
We don't need the quantitative easing all the time and all that stuff.
Well, I need it because I'm buying some gold mining stocks, man. I'm just waiting.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just waiting for inflation to go through the roof.
You know what's an interesting thing for me is they've announced these QEs, these continuing the quantitative easing or starting them back up again. Yeah. And our dollar has gotten stronger. Yeah. Very interesting. I guess everyone really is freaked out by it.
Yeah. Well, nobody knows really what to do.
Yeah. I know.
You know what I mean?
No, everyone just goes to America, dollars and bonds. So what I really wanted to talk, I totally got sidetracked on that. Though, is we need to do something with China. And I know a lot of people aren't talking about it right now because we're just trying to cope and deal with the situation, whatever it is, figure it out, get some medicine and figure out a cure. But there needs to be some repercussions for China, and severe ones, not for the Chinese people, not for even China as a country, but for the Communist Party. Like, we need to cripple them. We need to cripple them.
You're so racist.
I know. I had to put the disclaimers because I was going to get the racism.
All right. So, Matt, I've been seeing your tweets on this.
Thanks for liking and retweeting all of them.
I haven't had time for it, man. But
yeah,
listen,
you never do.
I don't have time to click a button for a fraction of a second. Listen. So what's the deal? So tell me what you feel. Okay. I want to hear. I want to hear you out.
I don't know if it's on purpose. I have conspiracy theories. Those are pastime jokes and hobbies. I don't know if they did it on purpose or not to break up the Hong Kong protest. I don't know if they released it to get back at Trump for winning the trade deal and to hide that their economy was crashing while ours was getting better. I don't know if they did that or not. It could have been incompetence. But I do know this, that as biology advancements happen, these countries, specifically the communist countries, are going to do these tests and do these advancements where they're going to have worse things that can be unleashed. And if it's incompetence or competence and they were doing it on purpose, there needs to be severe repercussions for what they've done to the whole world.
Okay, so what you're saying is, let me just make sure I understand. So this is biological warfare, whether it's something that developed naturally and they just let it happen, or whether they develop themselves. Either way, it's biological warfare. That's what you're saying?
Yeah. Okay. So either they developed themselves or it was just something they had in their factories, or in their facility.
Okay. Right. It was naturally caused, but it was there. Okay.
It was there. And they lied about it. There was a new report that came out today. Is if they would have been honest from the beginning and not tried to do the usual typical communist cover-up play like Russia did with Chernobyl, if they would have just come out with it, it would have negated 95% of what we're dealing with now as far as the spread, the economy disaster. It would have been 5% of what we are today. But instead, we're spending trillions of dollars globally on trying to fix a problem that China did. And if you just think about it from, let's just go to our local government. If somebody did this to you, where they harmed you by purpose or accident, there would be some penalties to be paid. There would be some kind of punishment that they would have to deal with, right? And I think the same thing needs to be true for the Communist Party of China.
Well, listen, I don't really know what to say about it.
And so this is what I think should be happening. I think we should be taking this time of low demand for these products that we produce in China and start moving all of them to other countries right away. I think we need to have a very small presence of production in China for not only the reliance and dependence on them that they keep threatening to cut off for us, but to make sure that the Communist Party isn't growing in wealth and being able to further do this stuff. Like, we're enabling them by producing all of our products in their country, and we need to take it away from them. I think that's one very practical thing that we could do now while we're in this pit stop and shift from there. Well, I would really love to see that.
Well, Matt, so here's the thing. You're kind of scaring me. You're kind of a little bit of a conspiracy theorist. But it doesn't matter, actually, because I think that your solution is actually a very smart solution, because at the end of the day, whether or not they did this intentionally, whether or not they need to pay, like you said, that's what Matt Williams said. He said they need to pay.
I do. I backed that up.
I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew that AD Robles isn't necessarily. But either way, it's smart to have your supply line, your especially vital supplies like medicines and important things, to not be in the hands of a country that, I mean, let's just be honest, even if they didn't do this on purpose, like they're not that fond of us.
No, they're enemies of us. They don't like us.
They're not that fond of us. I'm just going to say this is the nicest thing you could say about it. They're not that fond of us. And so that's stupid. That's stupid. Imagine if I said this. This is something I heard somebody else say, but it just made so much sense to me. Imagine if I told you, look, Matt, here's what we're going to do. This is how we're going to get cheaper. We're going to have a cheaper, means for our survival as a country. What we're going to do, I know we're a superpower, Matt, but what we're going to do is we're going to produce all of our weapons in China. All of them, like nuclear weapons, our rifles, our ships, our planes, everything. It's cheaper over there. I mean, they work for like pennies. They'll work for a bowl of rice. We can get we'll get our weapons super cheap in China. I know they're not the greatest of friends, but it's cheap, man.
Yeah.
You'd think I'm insane if I said that. Yeah. We should produce our weapons over there. And somehow we're saying, well, most of our medicine, we can produce it over there. Why not? As if like weapons and medicine are somehow like not that vital. Like medicine's not as vital to weapons to your survival as a country.
Right.
It's insane when you think about what we've done at this point.
Yeah. And we think of it, we've done it with medicine. We've done it with steel for a longest time. I mean, that's kind of changed under Trump. We've done that with our rare earth minerals, which is what we use for all electronics. And including all of our wartime military units and things like that.
Which at this point, it's necessary. I mean, listen, we don't all need to have an iPhone in our pockets, but at the end of the day, there's a certain amount of technology at this point that's sort of necessary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's
like we don't need cars, but we actually need cars.
So you actually don't have to think that they did this intentionally to think it's a good idea to stop being so reliant on them.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other reason why I think we need, as a world community, come down so hard on them, if there is such a thing as a world community, I hate that term actually, but I think we need to do it in solidarity, is because let's just say you do get mad at a country that you do lose a trade deal and you are losing power and influence and wealth from something that happens. And you see this play that happened, if China did it on purpose or not, and they get away with it. Well, what's stopping your country from releasing this kind of a thing into the country you don't like? Hey, if the world community is not going to have any repercussions for me, if they're going to just let me skate on it like they did China, and if they do come after me and they didn't come after China, then I'll just point to that and say, hey, you didn't do anything to them. It was an accident. Like this play could be run over and over again. It's scary.
A little bit. I mean, and I'll say this, at the very least, I'm not going to necessarily go with you on China did this intentionally, but what I will say is it certainly seems like lots of people, lots of businesses are terrified of crossing China.
Yeah, they are, because it's such a big market. But I do want to clarify, I'm not saying they did it on purpose. I'm saying if they did it on purpose or not. I'm saying it's very convenient that it happened for them. And it may have done that. I don't know for sure. I'm not saying absolutely. I'm just saying either way, they need to be punished, because we have laws for negligence for individuals. So even if they were negligent, they still need to be punished for it.
Yeah, but you see, a punishment of any kind would be very painful for the Western countries. Let's just be honest. It would be. It
would be. But I'm telling you, like, if you think about what would come from it without any repercussions coming from China, it would be far worse.
Well, we also have to think about this as well. Like, a lot of the stuff that we're facing right now because of the economy, basically the economy being banned for the next 3 weeks. Let's just be honest. Like, huge sectors of the economy have been banned for weeks. So a lot of us have to start thinking long-term, because yes, there's pain immediately and we need to manage it, but really we need to set ourselves up long-term, because we don't know what precedents are going to be set here, what's going to happen and so when it comes to the reliance on China, like, we might have short-term pain, but we need to figure out our lives going forward.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I tweeted this the other day. I'm more scared of the responses to the coronavirus than the actual coronavirus. I'm scared of what the governments are doing, for sure. Like, by far, not even close. Not even close at all.
Well, I think this is reasonable. This is rational. So when you look at the news reporting on coronavirus, one of the things that's striking about it to me is how much conflicting information you're getting. Oh my goodness, this is a 5% death rate. Oh my goodness, there's an 8% it's the same kind of death rate as a flu. Like, you're getting reliable people with PhDs and all kinds of acronyms, reliable people saying very different things, right? So there's conflicting information everywhere. Nobody really knows what's going on. And that's the point. Nobody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
If you think you know what's going on, you just don't. But what you need to do is start thinking about the things you actually do know. And one thing I definitely know is that lots of people have had their jobs banned by the government for at least the next 3-4 weeks.
Yep.
3-4 weeks is a month. That's a 12th of our time here. And it's a 12th of the economy. Like, it's just been banned. It's been banned. And so it's like, that's a real life thing. And you don't think that, like, that stress has an impact on people's health, on their livelihoods, on their families and stuff like that. Like, that's a tremendous price to pay for something that most people don't know how serious this is. No, most people don't. And it's just like, I don't know how serious coronavirus is. I don't pretend to. But what I do know, it's extremely serious to ban entire sectors of the economy for 4 weeks.
It is. It very is. And the confusion, not to be, misconstrued aligning with the ERLC or the Gospel Coalition, but I think some of it is pundit syndrome, where we have pundits who make a living by finding a way to differentiate themselves and have a different opinion than everyone else, so that they can get airtime on TV or wherever else they are. So they can't all agree on everything about the coronavirus. You have to have your own original take.
Right.
And I think that's what a lot of this is, quite honestly.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
I think you're probably right. But it puts us in a situation where we just don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who's right?
Yep, definitely. Eric said that just get the fortune cookies from China. Everything else goes to Mexico if they pay for the wall. The only problem I have with things going to Mexico is Mexico's run by the cartels right now. And it's kind of been on the back page. But before everything got crazy, remember, the cartels were shooting Americans just driving around in Mexico. Like, the cartels is a whole other big problem for us coming over to estates and things like that.
That's also racist, Matt. So
I know it's very racist.
Not only are you racist against Chinese people, but you're also racist against Mexicans.
Yes, specifically Panamanians. I'm really racist against my wife.
Wait. Never mind.
My wife's Panamanian.
Never mind.
Yeah. Okay.
I like how I said Mexican and you.
Oh, I just expanded it.
Expanded it. They're all Mexicans to me.
Go big or go home. But we're already home, so I guess I can only go big.
I don't know if you saw my video where I tried to prove that I was Puerto Rican, but I took some taco shells out and some taco seasoning.
I was dying laughing from that. I did watch it, and I also shared it, and I liked it like a good co-host would.
I appreciate that. I'll try to do better.
No. Please, you do you.
It's been a tough week, man. Listen. I'm a small business owner. You know, my business is in turmoil right now, and I'm also moving. It's a tough week, man.
It is. Your business is in turmoil. You guys need to support AD Robles on his Patreon account. Patreon.com/.
I would appreciate that. I definitely would appreciate that.
Where is yours? Yours is just AD Robles. Reformgelical.com/AD Robles.
Reformgelical.com.
I mean, sorry, Patreon.com/AD Robles.
AD Robles, right?
You're not going to get any love because I'm saying it wrong every time.
Yeah. No, but I'll be all right. But the point is though, it's been a tough week, so I'm sorry for not sharing your stuff.
Yeah. No, it's quite okay. You know, I was thinking about this morning. We were talking about this in December and January that, well, at least I thought, I don't know, I don't remember if you agreed with me or not, that I thought God was going to do some pretty big things in 2020. And it's funny that something this big has happened.
Oh yeah.
And from a Christian optimistic perspective, post-mill, if you will, we have to be thinking of the positive of, okay, these are physically bad things that are happening in our world today, but God is working and doing things, and he's going to be orchestrating this for the kingdom. And we can have hope and joy in that.
Yeah. That's right, man. That's right.
Yeah.
No, listen,
no despair.
No despair. I was joking earlier that I could not have picked a better year for this no despair thing. But honestly, I'm serious. I could not have picked a better year because everyone's in despair. I mean, there's so many people. But the reality is that everyone's favorite verse to make fun of people for quoting, where I know the plans I have for you, you know, says the Lord. That's actually directly relatable here because, because God's saying, he's reminding his people of his promises in the midst of turmoil, in the midst of craziness. And most of us, if were born in the United States, like most of us have had it really good for a long time. Think about it this way. I was talking to someone earlier today, and I can't name him because he would not want me to name him, but that's the kind of friends I have.
They're embarrassed to know you.
but it's true. But anyway, he said to me, he said, you know what? Think about this. King Henry VIII, or whatever the famous one King Henry is, that man never took a hot shower. Not once in his entire life. And he was the king. He was the king. Like he was the it guy. And he never had the luxury of something that most of us do every single day. He didn't have the pantry that had as many spices as most of us have in our pantry, no matter how poor we are.
Yeah.
We have more spices in our pantry than he had in his. We have more delectable fruits and choices for meats and stuff like that. Even ice. Now, ice. Can you imagine? This sounds so stupid, but it's true. Ice in your drink, man. I've got a bottle of wild turkey back there that I have not opened yet, but I could put some ice in it if I wanted to. And King Henry could not have done that. And it's like we've had it pretty good, and the reality is that some of that stuff is going to be taken away now, and we're thinking, "Oh, woe is me."
It's probably good, honestly, because we are so spoiled. Like even the poorest among us are spoiled, even by today's standards, compared to the rest of the world poverty.
That's right. We got the Obama phones, man.
Yeah, the Obama for president. I love that video. It's so good.
Don't be racist.
I was talking with my wife about that. Like we were going through Costco and seeing the lines, and it's like everyone was freaking out because of this 15-day quarantine. And I was telling my wife, I bet every single one of us has enough food to last us 15 days, no problem, in every single one of our houses.
Without even shopping.
Without even shopping, we have it.
Yes.
We wouldn't necessarily get to choose what we eat every day. We would maybe have to skip by and not eat as much as we would. But we have everything we need to survive. But we're so used to having our choice food, our delectables, like you said. We have everything we need at our fingertips that it's just freaking us out that we might have to settle for like beans in a can or something.
Right. No, my wife, I was talking to my wife too, and she said the same thing to me. She said, we're fine. And a guy, I had already shopped, for this kind of situation like a few weeks ago. And I was thinking, should we get more? Should we get more? She's like, no, seriously. Like, just look in our pantry that we haven't used in a long time. Like, we're fine. We could survive without you have shopping at all. And it's like, yeah, we probably could. And the reality is, you're right. It's this choice that we've had. It's the amount of food that we eat. It's because I was thinking like, okay, so now I might have to make a choice. Okay, do I eat as much as I normally would? Or do I save a little bit? Like, do I get save? But like, that's a problem for a lot of people. And I get it, because we all grew up in this fantasy land.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I can't overly eat. I just have to eat till I'm full now.
I mean, the idea that you'd have to ration it all is just so far from our minds that would be a suffering to us. And it really isn't a suffering when you really think about it. But this is where we're at now. This is where we're at. And so anyway, the point is, like, we've got some thinking to do, and we've got some adjusting to make. Yeah. But let's not freak out. How about that?
And let's look for the ways that God can use this to make us stronger and make us more hard. Like, you use a fighting term, like, it's good to go through these things sometimes. It's good to realize that, hey, you have plenty. You have abundance. You can make sacrifices. This is healthy in life. And we've just gone through so long of not having this like healthy training, discipline, life lessons that we just become soft.
No, it's true. I mean, we read the Bible where it talks about, well, if someone has food, share it with someone who doesn't. And we read that, we're like, oh, and theoretically, we're all thinking in our minds, like, yeah, of course, that makes sense, But most of us haven't known anyone that hasn't had food.
Yeah.
Most of us haven't. I mean, maybe we've been on a mission trip, a short-term mission trip. We've seen people, but like most of us are friends. Like, even if they're not well off, like, they have food. Mm-hmm. And so now we're learning some things that God's going to teach us. You know what I mean? He's going to teach us that when you put your faith in certain things besides himself, it's going to fail you.
Yeah, that's so true. It made me think of a story. I went down when I was in high school to one of those I think it was Yugo missions. And it was like a week thing the high schoolers did. It was like Christian youth camp or whatever. But you go down to a Mexican village and you preach the gospel for a week. And we went to this one lady's house who invited us over. She became a Christian and she wanted to have us all over, which for these poor little villages, it's like it would cost her a month of her salary to feed all of us. And she invited like 20 people over, right? And she came over, or we came over, and she had one chicken in her front yard and she killed it and gave it to us. That's poor.
Yeah.
And her attitude was, I want to share it with you because of the gift I have, because of what you've given me. I want to give you all I have. I'm giving you a month's worth of my salary to feed you fat Americans who don't need to eat, but I'm going to go kill the one chicken I have and cook it for you for dinner. And it's just like, we're lining up because we want to make sure that we have all the ribeye steaks for the next 15 days. And we're thinking, woe is me. So perspective, man.
I don't know about you, Matt, but I'm not buying ribeye steaks. I'm buying Vienna sausages.
Oh gosh. I
am.
We saw those at Costco and Kelly pointed them out to me. I think we better pick some up for AD.
That's right. Yeah. I appreciate listen, I appreciate you thinking about me.
I'm just trying to get you to move down here, man. So if I figure I stock up on all your foods, I will share my food with you if if the times get tough. Brett, your wife. I'm so sad as you are, Matt. I'm sad as you are about that.
Listen, you guys are gonna be jealous when I have some Vienna sausages. I eat them on my stream.
Yes, please do.
I'll send them to you.
I know you've been busy this week, so you probably didn't see these, but there were 2 hashtags streaming in the last couple days that made me really happy. It was people versus Pelosi and then people versus Schumer. They were trending on Twitter. And I went to look at them thinking it was going to be Trump supporters, conservatives getting mad at Pelosi and Schumer. But it wasn't, AD. It was the left. It was the liberals getting mad at.
Listen, are you new? Are you new? That's the first thing I would have thought of. So
really,
tell me what they were mad at. Because
they were mad at a whole bunch of different.
But tell me. I want to hear.
Well, basically, it was that they weren't doing enough. They weren't going to give enough money. It actually kind of made me sad at first because when the far left is saying the Republicans are giving us more money than the Democrats were, I'm like, what is going on here? It's a topsy-turvy world. But they were so angry that Pelosi and Schumer were incompetent in this crisis.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you right now, this is why I knew that was a liberal thing, because Republicans that say that kind of stuff about Democrats, they would never be trending on Twitter.
Oh, that's so true.
But that being said, liberals are notorious for eating their own. They are notorious for eating their own, for not being liberal enough. Remember that lesbian senator from Arizona? She got ripped a few months ago because I forget what the reason was, but it was so stupid. It was like she was like just barely less liberal than someone else. And listen, she's trying to maintain a Senate seat in like a kind of conservative state, and she's a lesbian. It's like she's got to do something. She's got to throw them a bone. And they were furious at her because she wasn't as liberal as she could be, and they were trying to get her kicked out. And I'm just like, this is what liberals do. This is what they do.
Self-consuming. Man, I'm kind of embarrassed, AD. I didn't even think about that. Like, I should have just known nothing conservative would have been trending on Twitter.
Never. Oh, no. Well, no, sometimes they are, but they get squashed quick.
Yeah, and it's not something that's calling out specific Democrat leaders, right?
It'll be like a Bible verse or something like that. Like something that can be taken a number of different ways.
Yeah, no, it's Beth Moore tweeting about her inspirational morning. Yeah,
very, very conservative Beth Moore tweet. You know what I
mean? Yeah, but I was thinking about this. I think that we're going to see a huge sweep by the Republicans this year.
Wow.
I know, I'm calling it now. And this is why. You've heard it here first. I think we win back the House. I know. But hey, I'm not a political pundit, so if I'm wrong, who cares? I mean,
I like how you hedge right there. I like that.
Yeah. If I'm wrong, I can just go right for the Gospel Coalition or something. But no, listen to this. So we have already the Bernie supporters. We talked about this last week, really upset about Bernie Sanders not getting the nomination. So you got the socialist people, the people that are wanting to buck the system. I said buck, B with a B. And they're already checked out. I just want to make sure I was clear on that one. And now we have them mad at Pelosi and Schumer and angry that they're not handling this the way they see fit. Like, how much of the base is going to erode before we say it's just going to be a sweep? I don't know what else the Democrats could lose. Is Biden really going to rally the troops? I don't think so.
Well, what could he? Well, so the economy's tanking, but what could Biden really say that he would do differently? I mean, regulate the banks. That's not going to improve the economy. Nobody thinks that.
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
What's he going to say? I'll give you $3,000.
I won't call it a Chinese flu.
Right. Yeah. What's that going to do? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm not racist. Who's going to care?
I don't know, man. So I have actually a lot of hope. I'm a little depressed because of how much social stuff has been, passed and going to be passed in the next couple months. But
it's going to be a disaster. Yeah.
It's going to be a disaster. I'm kind of upset that they've done this quarantine and made businesses suffer. But yeah, I think election time is going to be good.
I think we really need to just really consider I know our audience already knows this because our audience is extremely intelligent. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But the reality is though, this whole thing of closing down restaurants, closing down, anything that the Pennsylvania governor, didn't he say like anything that's not like life essential is closed down? Anything.
That's everyone nationally.
So I saw somebody on Twitter today said I was going to close on a house on Friday and now I can't because that's not an essential, closing on a loan for a house is not an essential business.
Yep.
And so it's like, so what percentage of the economy is in that category that the governor of Pennsylvania thinks that he has the authority to just say canceled, banned for the next, I don't know, arbitrary amount of time. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Well,
this is a huge deal. If you think they can get away, if they can get away with this, what can't they get away with? That's the question.
No, I think the honest truth is the government can probably get away with anything, honestly.
Pretty much anything, as long as they stoke enough fear.
I mean, the government tried to use all of the intelligence agencies to spy on a presidential candidate.
Yeah.
If they will do that, like multiple agencies, not like two people in a corner office that had this little crazy conspiracy.
No,
they were using other countries' intelligence.
Coordinated
by everyone. And if they think they could do that with no repercussions, they're texting about it. They're emailing about it. They have this written down in electronic documents.
And there were no repercussions.
And there was none.
They lost, but they really didn't lose because what did they lose? I mean, people still respect them. People still will vote them in.
Yeah.
They lost nothing.
All the Trump people are the ones who went into jail, not the people that were on for the deep state. So if they could do that, they could do anything. And I don't hear anyone upset about it. Like I hear a small core people, I hear the Trump campaign talking about it, but nothing's going to get done.
I don't think that so this is the thing. It's like, what's the end game here? Because this episode is kind of spiraled into a huge conspiracy theory. But the point is though, that I don't think that these governors want us dead. They don't want us dead.
Mm-mm.
But what they do want is they want us subservient. They want us to be slaves. They want to be able, if there's enough fear in the world, they can stoke up, they can press the right buttons, pull the right levers. They tell us what's what. They tell us what we can and cannot do. They tell us that we can meet for worship, or maybe we can't. And there's a certain percentage of evangelicals that will go along with it and say, if you love your neighbor, then you must close down your worship service. And what they're saying there, without having the guts to say it, is that if you do not close down your worship service when government tells you, you are in sin.
Yeah.
They won't say that, but that's what they are saying when they say it's a matter of loving your neighbor, because we all know that Christ said that that's the second greatest commandment, loving your neighbor as yourself. So if you break a Christ's second commandment, that's a sin. So we know that there's a certain percentage of evangelicals that will say, if daddy government tells you to, you need to close it down.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is that's a tremendously big deal. And I'm not saying that you're in sin if you did close down, because my church closed their worship service this Sunday, and they did it not because daddy government said so, but because they made the decision that we're in a ski town where a lot of New Yorkers come. Mm-hmm. Our congregation is pretty much all over 60. Me and my family probably drive down the average age very significantly, but most of the people are over 60, and they said, you know what? Let's just abundance of caution here. Abundance of caution here.
Mm-hmm.
It had nothing to do with daddy government telling us what to do. But if your pastor tells you, daddy government says, the governor said we have to shut down worship. That's a huge deal. And I don't think we're making enough of a big deal about that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think Marcus Pittman's been great on this.
He has been. And he's a little crazy. And I'll tell him to his face,
crazy.
He's a little crazy, but he's exactly right about what he said. Why don't you tell us, everyone, what he said?
Well, he basically, to the effect, was just continually saying that if your church decides that they want to shut down because of they think it's a loving thing to do, they think it's the right thing to do, a conscience thing, then
Amen.
Great.
Amen.
But as soon as the government tells you to shut down and stop worshiping, you need to go worship.
You need
it's a mandate to do it. You need to do it. You have an obligation to do it.
I wouldn't go as far, because he's a little crazy. I'm sure he knows that. I think he is.
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't go so far as to say you need to, but you should take a real good look in the mirror to just make sure that you're not just saying, "Oh, daddy government said so."
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I want to take a different take on what these governors are doing and what these politicians are doing. I think the reason they are doing all of these things is simply they don't want to get nailed for not doing enough for re-election.
Totally.
But because they are authoritarians at heart and they believe in big government, they believe that they're smarter than all of us. All of their solutions to do enough are authoritarian power play grabs. There's no free market. And that's why I really do appreciate Trump being president right now, because a lot of it is, hey, the states, you go do your thing. We'll support you. Businesses come together. You guys come up with solutions. We'll support you as a federal government. But a lot of our politicians are authoritarians at heart. And so they're doing things for political gain. They want to be reelected. They don't want to get nailed for not doing enough. But that's why all their solutions are these authoritarian power grabs.
Yeah, totally. And two things about that. Number one, Trump is taking heat for essentially doing that and saying the states, figure it out for yourselves. I'm not going to tell you what to do. We'll back you up. But and that's the exact right play. The states need to decide for themselves. That's the exact right thing. Number two is I was talking to my wife about this, and my wife is very smart. And she said that she was talking to one of her friends, basically that we all have this fantasy in our own minds that as long as we do everything right, we actually can control whatever it is. If we do everything right, if we take the right steps, the right moves, we can control the outcome. That's a fantasy.
That's idolatry.
It's idolatry. That's very well said, Matt. That's a good point. That is idolatry. And we all think this, and governors definitely think this. You know what I mean? And we all kind of have this idea. That's why we get so pissed when we see somebody that's not obeying social distancing or not obeying quarantine. Like, we're like, well, but if we all just did this, we'd be fine. and it's just not the case.
Yeah.
It's not the case at all. So do what you have to do before God. Follow the commandments. Follow what God has told you to do for your family, for yourself. And that's all you can do. Because the stuff you can't control, you can't control.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to be focused on. What has God told me to do?
Yep, definitely. That's so true. And it's that same attitude is what we are fighting with social justice and all of these other victimhood.
Definitely. Yeah.
I've done everything right and it's not going the way I wanted to. So obviously someone else did something to me.
That's right. Amen.
It's the same.
It's the same mentality. And that's why you see all these social justice warriors basically telling you whatever daddy government told you. Whatever daddy government's saying, these social justice warriors are saying the same thing. And that's not on accident. That's because that's their whole mentality.
Yeah. It's ingrained in them. They don't even think about it. It's not even like a cognitive, I need to say it this way.
They were trained this way. We were trained to respond a certain way, and they've just gone along with it. And we need to short circuit that. That's listen, when God comes into your life and when God changes your heart from a heart of stone to a heart of flesh, like he's short circuiting the way the zeitgeist has taught you, the way the world has taught you. Like you no longer have that spirit anymore. You need to short circuit that. And the Holy Spirit short circuits the way the world taught you to think, to think according to God's standards. And none of us are exactly at the same level of sanctification. We're not all the same level, but the more, like, this is why I've been saying, like, we need to be focused on what the scripture says to do. And it's really not that complicated, and stay laser focused on that, because that's really the important thing.
Yeah. Amen. And I wanted to talk about worship. I've been trying to talk about this thing for, 3 weeks now, and we just keep running out of time because there's been some good discussions about what worship should be.
I want you to understand we're out of time now, but let's hear it.
Yeah, no, I don't want to talk about it, but I just want to say, I think worship is the perfect solution and what is needed, not just when we go to churches on Sundays and if we should go or not, but in our personal lives, in our families' lives, and every group context that we are in, 10 or under or cyber. But the moments of fear and uncertainty that we are in now, the times where government is doing authoritative remedies and solutions to save us, when the world is looking to the government to be their savior, like, this is the time where we need to worship.
Amen.
And worship's warfare. And that is true for even our own lives. When we start feeling fear, when we start feeling despair, when we are scared about the future and what's going to happen to coronavirus, man, we need to worship God passionately, truthfully, in spirit and truth.
Listen, I don't know what's going to happen the next week, but let's make a point to talk about this at some point. It's a very good topic. And the reality is we both know, all of us know, there's a lot of worship going on right now, but it ain't always Christ worship.
Amen.
And so that's a good topic. Let's try to remember to talk about that next week if we can, in case, maybe, I don't know, the world might end by then, but let's try.
Yeah. We'll do it. All right. So let's do this. Let's, everyone who listens to this episode, you and me, AD Robles, make a point to worship God together individually every day this week. I think that'd be good.
All right. Hey, listen, I'm down.
All right, let's do it. If you are, we're going to say something, or are you just checking something? Okay, you leaned into the mic. All right, cool. We'll call it a day there. Thank you for listening to Reformgelical. Thank you for listening live. For those of you who are listening wherever you listen to podcasts or on YouTube, please join us Thursdays, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time on patreon.com/reformgelical. Thank you for sharing the show, following us, saying goodnight for AD Robles and myself. Have a good one. God bless.
God bless.